Hey! Hey!
It literally takes over your life, and you physically and mentally need that to live.
Hey!
No idea what I was getting into.
Try Narcan, I don't know if he's...
I could use anywhere from $20 to $600 a day.
He never got in any trouble at all. High school, nothing.
I don't look at it financially. I look at it as the cost that has taken all of us away from the general public for the day-to-day stuff that we can't avoid.
You can literally devastate local governments across the state if you don't grapple with this right away.
He's got a pulse.
It's continuing to, kill people in our community every single day.
Once a person's hooked, they're a customer for a long time.
I found her dead in her bed.
Once you get into heroin, you don't care about anything.
Heroin and opioid addiction is an epidemic that affects us all. 500,000 Americans have died from an opioid overdose in the past 15 years. In the same period, the rate of addiction has risen almost 500%. There are three paths of heroin addiction: incarceration, treatment, or death. Over the course of this show, 3 people will die from an opioid overdose. This is the cost of heroin.
Can you close 219, please?
Robert Nunemaker had his first experience with opioids at just 18 years old following a snowboarding accident. He was prescribed pain pills and instantly got hooked.
From there, I just fell in love with it. I preferred the pills over the other stuff. And then those were gone, so the only thing I knew was the heroin, and it was cheaper and more potent.
Like many addicts, it didn't take long for heroin to take over.
I didn't know what I was getting into when I first started at all, absolutely not. Even with the painkillers, no idea what I was getting into until it was too late. The feeling is just you don't care. Anything that happened in your life doesn't matter. Anything you're facing doesn't matter. I had no fear of dying from heroin.
Once that heroin gets into your system, it takes over. You become addicted, then you need it constantly all the time.
It's cheap and it's prevalent and it's potent. And once they get that first time high, they chase that high forever, many times taking their life.
No one knows Robert's cycle of addiction better than his family. His mom, Cheryl, and sister, Casey, have grappled with it daily for 12 years.
I've never seen him in his handcuffs or his orange suit. I think that would kill me.
He was so excited about Christmas. He would wake up early on Christmas morning. He would he was just a great positive person. When he's high, he's just vacant.
Like no one's home.
Yeah, knock, knock, no one's home.
He never got in any trouble at all. He played football. He played soccer. Probably right up till he was 18, I would say. We had no issues. Great little kid.
I've never had goals in my life, except for pretty much to get as high as possible and feel as good as I can. I kind of got tattooed over spots to hide it. There's a little mark there. I would do it up here a lot. I used a clean needle almost every time in a different spot so I wouldn't get track marks.
Maybe I didn't do anything to cause it, but maybe I could have done something differently, and that's what you tell yourself every single day. I mean, I had no idea of opiate addiction, no idea. My experience is that sometimes you don't know how addicted, or even if they are addicted, until you see somebody withdraw. And I witnessed that, and then I knew we're in trouble here.
Every day is different. Some days it'd be, oh man, it'd be all right to get high right now and just sit around and do nothing. But then I remember to myself what's going to happen. what's gonna happen if I do go back. I'll get out and end up right back in here.
Nobody wants to be a drug addict. Nobody wants to live in the streets and have to steal and have to like manipulate and have to like sell their body and sell their cell phones and sell their kids' game sets. Like nobody really wants to do that, but like that's the disease that like you have no other choice. You don't want to be sick. So like that's what people go through.
Molly Moranti, a single mother to 2 children, found herself down the dark path of heroin addiction in her late 20s. She's now living at Vista House, transitional housing for women in recovery.
My mom passed away when I was 20. She committed suicide and I found her. That really like put a damper on my life. This is pretty much where I sleep and do whatever. I actually had a car accident and they prescribed me pain pills. And then that's when I started. Once I had that in my system, like it numbed everything. This is connected to my kids' room when they stay. My son usually sleeps on the top, and then we'll pull out the bottom bed and my daughter sleeps on the bottom, or sometimes she sleeps with me. I met somebody and he had heroin. He was like, oh, try it. It's the same thing as pills.
When you got that first high, what was that like?
It was amazing. Like that's what you chase, is that first high. Is that first feeling of feeling like, where's this been my whole life?
From there, she lost control. Her family and friends didn't know she was using. Even more concerning, Molly had no idea she was addicted.
We went on a cruise for 10 days to the Bahamas, and I didn't bring anything with me. I'm like, oh, I'll be good. Like I didn't realize I was gonna go through withdrawal. And the second day, I went through withdrawal for the first time ever, and I was in my cabin the whole time. I can't even tell you what the Bahamas look like. I wasn't thinking about going to the beach and like laying out in the sun. I just was thinking about how am I gonna get my next fix to make it through the day. So it's really tough living like that. I literally lost everything within 2 months of shooting it, like everything. And I had a job, I had a car, I had an apartment, I had my kids. I still was maintaining, even though I wasn't living good, like I wasn't living a sober and clean life, but like as soon as you put that needle in your arm, you lose everything. Like you'll start stealing, you'll start prostituting, you'll start doing things that you've never done before.
Trust me, you're gonna get hooked, and your whole life is gonna change for the worst.
This is the bed. That's what we get to sleep on. Just bins for my clothes and food. Coffee cups. You live with 50 people in this one area. They tell you when you can come in and out, tell you when to eat. You're just trapped.
I have to say that he had very short stints when he was clean the whole time. And you just don't always know when they are or when they aren't.
I overdosed in a Dunkin' Donuts bathroom, and they told me 5 Narcan shots up my nose to be able to bring me back. So I woke up in the hospital, tubes down my throat.
We've had people come in, they've overdosed 10, 15, 16, 20 times. And it doesn't really faze them. They're not getting the concept that your next time could be the last time that you do this.
Overall, every county has seen an increase in drug overdose deaths in the last 5 years. That is an amazing statistic, and that's a frightening statistic. There is no state and no community in this nation not dealing with this problem right now.
Jim Malatras is the president of the Rockefeller Institute of Government. He collects data to create statistics around opioid addiction and its effects on individuals and communities.
We're not seeing any slowing down of this problem. We're seeing just a growth that we haven't seen in other areas before.
If I relapse again, that's it. It's probably my last time. I had a close call twice last time. I don't know if there's coming back another time.
All About Me by Robert Nunemaker. Hello, my name is Robert Nunemaker. I was born on November 8th, 1987. My mom was doing the twist at my Aunt Julie's wedding. When she got home, she had labor pains. That night, I was born.
How many times has he been in and out of rehab treatment?
I would say somewhere between 20 and 25.
But of those programs, he's never even completed one.
I've been to this program, this one, and what's happened? Nothing's ever changed.
That just goes to show you the power of addiction. And you can't tell me this is anything other than a disease at that point. That's not just a choice. I mean, there's something got to be wrong with you to have to chase that the way they chase it.
Robert is no stranger to Albany County Jail. He's served at least 5 sentences here.
It's all due to my drug addiction. All petty larcenies to steal to get money, to get high. My mom has pressed charges on me for taking her credit card that same night when I went to court for it, and I came back home that same night, I stole it again.
I'm not a proponent of putting addicts in jail. I think that's one of the problems here, because the judges, of course, don't want to put an addict in jail, and I'm begging them to please keep my son, because I feel like I'm at a different point than many people are. And I finally had to start saying to people, you know, I'm not trying to fix him anymore. I love him to death, but right now I'm just trying to keep him alive. That's where I'm at.
Come on, girl.
Give 2 breaths.
New York State spends $213 million each year on treatment programs, housing, training, and Narcan kits to fight the heroin epidemic.
The biggest thing that you see is the numbers, the increase in the number of calls.
Emergency response is always more expensive than a planned response. That's the nature of an emergency response. As that grows with that heroin overdose number or with the drug death number, 10 years from now, with everything else going on, with all those costs, communities could literally find themselves in desperate, deep financial trouble.
That stuff that's so good, that stuff laced with fentanyl, the stuff laced with carfentanil and those things. I mean, the problems there are huge because they're so powerful that first time user, you know, usually ends up in, you know, respiratory arrest or cardiac arrest.
Hey!
823, respond to that call. The first line of treatment is just to give intranasal Narcan. Just because you're overdosed on heroin doesn't mean we can bring you back with Narcan.
And I was going to go in the driveway and I said, wonder why this guy's got the door open. And then I didn't.
We've had these calls where we have heroin overdoses. We show up that people are clinically and biologically dead, where you just nothing you can do. If you haven't been breathing for the last 30 minutes, Narcan's not going to work.
I'm gonna give him this. He's gonna start fighting probably. Are you with me?
You know, everybody wants to just get to that point, that pinnacle. You don't want to go over the top, but you want to get to right to the top where you can kind of just peer over.
Hey!
It's so much bigger than just, you know, the illness. It's the crime. It's everything that it brings with it. You know, it's bad.
In New York, it costs about $60,000 to keep an inmate in jail for a year. In other states, it's half that. 43% of inmates who serve time in jail end up back behind bars after they're released. A unique program at Albany County Jail, led by Sheriff Craig Apple, is aiming to lower that number.
I think we're fighting it as hard as we can. We look at it as like a triangle with treatment, education, and prevention. We will never win the war on drugs. We can dump all the money you want, we can dump all the police officers you want into it. All we're gonna be doing is taking good tax dollars and just throwing them away. You guys get more coverage than I don't know what. We have our own treatment center here at the jail. Education and prevention, we're in the schools every day. We're gonna continue to target those mid and high level people that are polluting our area.
It's called SHARP, Sheriff's Heroin Addiction Recovery Program. Inmates with any drug addiction are encouraged to take part in the program, then continue treatment once they're released.
It's been helpful. There's up and down days in here. There's days that you might not feel like being a part of, and then there's days that you're overwhelmed, you're overexcited.
We don't give medical detox in here. You're coming in, you're gonna have some tough love, and you're gonna detox.
When you want to get off it, it's 4 to 5 days of hell. You want to die.
The sweats, the chills, the throwing up, diarrhea, all of it, and it's a very painful thing.
You can prepare yourself here for the treatment center that when you're going out. So this is the best place to be in the jail.
You're always working on your recovery. You're always learning new things. You need to continue to work on recovery.
We've got them for 120 days of their undivided attention. Let's try and change their life around.
Robert was offered the program. He refused.
This time at first it was too full in the beginning, and then my time started to go by fast, so I really didn't want to interrupt that this time, and I don't know.
I'm not kidding anybody that a lot of this isn't my son's own behavior, his own fault. I mean, he's denied a lot of help. We're talking about somebody that was struggling for 12 years. He's been offered the SHARP program. He turned it down. I know that he's his own worst enemy. I'm not blaming anybody. He was offered assistance in finding a home. He thinks he's coming to my home, and that can't be the case anymore.
I'm definitely ready to get out this time. I've been in programs since 2011, in and out. Including detoxes, I've been in 19 programs. Nothing's ever changed. When I leave here this time, I'm not on any probation. I don't have a girlfriend anymore. I'm not addicted to a drug. And this is the first time that I've actually felt like free.
They think it's willpower. I have the strength not to do this because it's ruined my life. I won't pick it up again. I mean, I've heard that many times.
With only a few weeks left here, his family is terrified he'll relapse when he gets out.
I have to do everything on my own. I can't get anywhere unless I do it for myself. Yeah. And that's a big difference. Nobody else can do it for me except for me.
He can't do it without help. And right now he's claiming that he doesn't need the help, so, it's pretty frightening.
So that was me in 2014, and that's me now.
There's no boundaries when it comes to this drug. There's no race involved. There's no creed involved. There's no sex involved. It's anybody. It is anybody. And from what I understand, it's very easy to get your hands on.
"91 Americans die from an opioid overdose every day. Some studies show that 90% of addicts who seek treatment relapse. Patty Farrell, a retired police officer, knows that statistic all too well.
She was funny. You can hear her laugh all the way down the end of the block. Yeah, the neighbors to this day still say they miss her laugh. She was absolutely hysterical. She was so smart. She graduated high school when she was 16 with an advanced readings diploma, plus college credits. She was a brainiac. She was just so smart.
At 18 years old, Loree was a vibrant teenager. She had a boyfriend who was a heroin addict. He was trying to stay clean.
And she just attributed it to him being weak. So she wanted to try it. She wanted to see what was so hard about walking away from this drug. So she was dumb, and she tried it. She had been using it for a week, and she needed my help. I kept saying she could quit on her own, she could quit on her own. And ultimately, She couldn't quit on her own, so I took her down to detox, and detox ultimately found her an inpatient rehab in Connecticut. She relapsed the day she got out. She said it was the best feeling in the entire world, not what she ever had, but she felt completely disgusting. She hated herself, she was humiliated, but she was having a hard time staying away from it because it was the best feeling she ever had in her life.
If you have two people in a car and one guy overdoses, the guy next to him wants that. He's like, my gosh, that had to be the best load yet, and he wants that. I mean, that's what you're dealing with, and that just goes to show you the power of addiction.
Loree gave treatment another try and completed a short-term program. She moved in with her grandparents. Just days before her 19th birthday, she went to stay at her mom's house for the weekend.
Went out with one of her girlfriends, came home, and chatted for a little while, had a bowl of ice cream, said wake me up early, I want to do my hair, my makeup. I got to the bottom of her stairs, because her room was upstairs, and I yelled up to her, and no answer, and my first thought was she snuck out in the middle of the night, and she went to use. And this is her room. I found her dead in her bed. She was purple, she was cold, she was dead, with her eyes open.
A voicemail Loree left for a friend is all she has left of her daughter.
Hey girl, it's Loree. I'm still waiting your number. I just wanted to give you a call and chit chat for a while.
Loree was Patty's only child, and she was her life.
What's it like when you hear her voice?
She's supposed to be here. These people that are lacing it with fentanyl and carfentanil and all this other, you don't even have a chance to survive that stuff. People don't have a chance. They're going to automatically die. And drug dealers know that they're putting it in there.
These dealers have people who will test out the product?
Yes. Human beings. Yeah.
And if they
Human
die?
beings. So what? They don't care. There's another junkie right around the corner. 10 junkies.
Don't forget about the hundreds, and I can't emphasize this enough, the hundreds and hundreds of overdoses that we have no idea about.
Losing your kid is probably the most horrible thing that can happen in a lifetime. I decided to take to the legislatures.
Patty's grief turned into action. She worked tirelessly with state lawmakers to develop a bill called Loree's Law. It would make it possible to charge drug dealers with homicide if their drug causes a fatal overdose.
Strengthening our law enforcement and our district attorneys to go after the big drug dealers who are selling this poison on the streets.
If you come in and you know that your drug is going to kill people, don't you think that person should be held criminally responsible? They're not. Instead, they just move on, maybe change a molecule and move on into a different area and start pushing there. And I think that's just horrific that in today's day and time they can do that.
She was a tough kid, and she could walk away from anything if she wanted to. And she could not walk away from this. Could not walk away from it. She relapsed twice, and the second time killed her.
Loree's battle with heroin lasted just 4 months. Loree's Law has passed 4 times in the New York Senate, but is yet to make it to the floor of the Assembly. Patty plans to continue the fight in hopes her daughter's death will save others.
In 1 year, the data suggests that there's been a 50% increase in heroin deaths in New York State in 1 year. So it's growing, not receding, but that is a constant problem when trying to address this problem because this is basically a locally managed issue.
It's not just a law enforcement issue, it's truly a community issue. We need your help. We need everybody's help to combat this.
This is me and my son. I didn't want anybody to know I had a problem. I tried to keep it on the low forever, but people obviously knew, like I was skinny as heck. So that was me in 2014, and that's me now. Like, you can see my bones in my neck. You can't see it now. Like, I have no body, and now I have, like, totally different. Once you use do it the first time, you're like, why haven't I been doing this? And then like you end up wanting it more and more. This is me when I was little, me doing dance, me when I first got my glasses. This is me, my son, and my daughter, who looks just like me. They have seen me high. They went with me when I bought drugs. They didn't know what I was buying, but they went with me. They didn't know what I was doing, but they knew mommy was sick in bed. She didn't feel good. She doesn't feel good. Leave her alone.
Once you're hooked, that's your supply. That's your oxygen. That's how you breathe. That's how you live.
Within 3 months, I was like, lost everything. My kids ended up getting taken August 16th of 2015. They ended up going to foster care for a few months, which was really hard. As soon as I found out they were going to foster care, like, I lost it. I used even more. Like, I used to want to die because I didn't want to live like that anymore, and I didn't know if there was help.
I believe that no one chooses to live a life like that. I believe that they just don't know how to get the help. They don't know how to ask for the help, or they're not ready to get the help. And that's where, that's what it comes down to, because help is available, but people have to be willing to want the help.
This is me and my dad and my nephew.
Molly placed herself in a 30-day rehab program. The night she completed it and returned home, her children's father was murdered.
I lost it. Like, I literally couldn't even fathom telling my kids this. I ended up relapsing that weekend after the funeral. I just couldn't take it.
Molly desperately wanted her kids and life back, and that meant committing to a long-term treatment program. After 7 months of rehab, she shared joint custody of her kids with their grandmother. She was living sober until she went to an old friend's house.
He had cocaine. That's not my drug of choice. So I can do it one time, just to get out my head and out my feelings. Little did I know he had it mixed with fentanyl and heroin. And I don't remember after that. I remember doing it, and I don't remember anything after that. I woke up in ICU 4 days later. I guess the story was I never went to pick up my kids on Sunday night, and they couldn't get a hold of me. Nobody knew where I was at, so they basically put a missing person out for me. That Monday afternoon, they ended up finding out where I was at. They came to the house and they found me unconscious on the couch. They couldn't even do a rape kit because I was unconscious and I couldn't consent. So I don't even know if they did anything to me. They found me in different clothes, like a big baggy t-shirt and some sweatpants that didn't even fit me. They had to carry me to the car. I couldn't even stand up.
Once released from the hospital, it was Molly's goal to get her kids back. After a custody hearing, she was introduced to Vista House, a place that would change her life.
I became honest about everything in my life, even things that I didn't want anybody to know, I talked about, and I wasn't ashamed. Before, I don't think I was really in recovery. I was just sliding through it and acting like I was in recovery.
You have to really work on other factors. It's not just putting down the drugs. That really is what people think they need to do. And a lot of if people don't understand addiction, that's what they want them to do. Just stop using, and then everything gets better. Well, that's not the case.
Putting the drugs down is easy. That's 10%. The other 90 is you.
You're going to be going down for release this morning?
When he gets out, he can overdose very easily. That scares me.
Everything's all right. Where are you going to go?
%48 of inmates are serving time for drug-related crimes. Robert is part of that number. After serving 6 months, he's being released. He refused a Vivitrol shot, which helps prevent relapses. He believes he can do it on his own.
This is his inmate card. You're going to be going down for release this morning. I need you to pack up all your property. Controls, can you open West 219? Just right down this way.
You'd rather have him be in jail?
Right now, yes. because we're not talking about somebody that, you know, is a first time, second time, third time addict. We're talking about somebody that was struggling for 12 years.
I've learned while I'm in here, like, I really did not like the person that I've become when I'm using drugs. I don't like how I acted. I don't like what I did to get money.
What's up, man? You out? Yeah. Take care of yourself, bro. Really, though. Be good, man. Stay clean. Take care, man. Good meeting you, bud. You too. God bless you.
When he gets out, he can overdose very easily. That scares me, especially if he's homeless. He has no probation. He's not under drug court. There's nobody to hold him accountable but himself. And I don't really know if he could do that by himself, and I told him that.
I've already talked to people. I'm meeting people as soon as I get out of here that are in my network, that are sober the first initial day. I'm just gonna do my best to do like positive self-talk and tell myself that, I can do this.
Where you need to make the difference is to focus on people getting off it and not touching it, and if you are on it, getting them into treatment, and hopefully letting them know that there is a better life out there. There's a clean, healthy, productive life out there. Don't you want to live that dream?
Easier to do the time than to do this, because this is, it takes a lot of work. Recovery, working on recovery is hard.
I can't use just once. That's not who I am, no matter what it is. Once I start, I don't stop until someone makes me, or until it's too late.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Oranges. You ready for him, Jay?
Yeah, do you know about getting a bus pass?
You'll be getting your bus pass right over there.
All right. It might be in the active overflow. I wasn't sure if I was going to be going to jail or not, but right before I was pretty much homeless.
All right. Yeah, just throw that bag right around the corner. Do yourself a favor, don't come back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Go do what you need to do. This ain't the life you want.
No, not at all. Nope.
Booking front vehicle gate. Good luck to you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mom's here?
I drove my own car.
Huh?
I drove my own car.
They do?
I can't control everything.
They do. You smell good.
I do? Mm-hmm. You don't? No kidding?
No,
oh, I missed you.
You look good. Well, so I'll wait.
You look good too. You gained a lot of weight.
Cheryl has found a treatment program that has an open bed for Robert. They're willing to take him, but he must make the call.
If you call this guy, he will take you in today. And I feel like you have nothing to lose because you're not on probation. I spoke with some people there. They said it was a great place. It's a warm bed. It's in Ravenna. You want it to be out of Albany, out of the element. I will drop you off. I will wash all your clothes.
I'm not going to tell you I'm going to go.
So
just so I can have a place to stay for 2 nights.
Well, where are you going to go?
I have my friend Bobby. I got to meet somebody at a meeting tonight, and I have friends that aren't going to let me just.
Why wouldn't you go here?
I've done too many programs.
And
I left the program to come here. I didn't want. I can't do the programs anymore.
They need to want the help, or it's not going to work. People say, oh, they get mandated. That doesn't work either. You know, unfortunately, it's a disease of the brain.
I'll take it to make a call.
But why couldn't we drop you there? Casey and I will drop you there now.
I have some stuff I have to take care of.
It's a safe place.
Yeah.
It's a warm bed. I don't know why you're resistant to it.
Because I've been in programs for the last 7 years. It didn't work.
13 years.
I know it works. Going to meetings, calling my sponsor, which I have to do immediately. Now that I have, 7-8 months clean, I feel a lot better, and I just feel like going to a program is just going to set me back again.
He doesn't have a job, he doesn't have a car, he doesn't have a tax return, he doesn't have anything. So it's I mean, you come out already ready to fail, so the safest place for him will be in, some sort of treatment center.
I don't want to go backwards, I'm trying to move forward.
Alone with his addiction, Robert must face a world where drug dealers thrive on weakness.
Guys are coming up from New York City with thousands of bundles. A bundle is 10 bags, okay? 1,000 of them, and be gone in 3 days. So you're selling that for $100 times 1,000. They're calling you every day. They're going out and making their money however they're making it. And you're answering the phone and you're going to their house or they're coming to your place and you're making money. And they're getting high as they're feeding their addiction. They want the biggest high. The less money they have to spend to keep themselves going for that day, that's only going to be good for a day. No, then they'll have to use again. If somebody ODs, that's where the people go because they know it's good. The dealer knows the people who's using. They come up to you. Here, try a bag. Try, yeah, how was it? Yeah, I'll give it to you cheap. And then once, 2 or 3 days, once you start feeling the craving again, then the price goes up. Once you know that you got control of people, that's another thing too. You got control of people with that drug. It's nothing like it. Who wants to go out, do a 9-to-5 job for, say, $120, $140 a day, when you can make $500 to $1,000, and that's at a low level. High schools, college, it's all over. Once a person's hooked, they're a customer for a long time. It's no game. This is no joke.
Now on his own and struggling for resources, will Robert fall back into his addiction? Addiction is a lifelong battle. Without treatment, the chances of recovery are greatly reduced. Robert claims he doesn't need a program to stay clean. After getting out of jail, his dad helped him get an apartment. We caught up with him there 1 month later.
I can't believe how warm it's been though.
We're at ground zero because he has pled everything down in court. So we could be doing this another 12 years.
Yeah, I got a wreath up trying to be festivities. Every day is different. Some days are better than others, some are worse than others, but as long as I get through that day and I know the next one's coming and I can try to make that next day better than the day before. I try to.
So my son is running a cycle.
You know what I mean? And everybody will say, here we go again. He runs a cycle. And so do the people around him.
You know, the important thing is trying to find something full-time so I can continue to live where I'm living.
Yeah.
You know, that's the hardest thing, because if I'm not working, I'm not making money to pay for rent.
Shortly after Robert's release, he found a job at a warehouse. Within a week, he was fired.
He lost a job for stealing. He stole from his employer.
He's so addicted to the lifestyle of a drug addict. For him, he's like pretty good at manipulating the system, and somehow he's getting money.
Life is tough.
Yeah.
Life situations come up. Dealing with them is the biggest thing.
What's the hardest part?
Everything, just life itself. You know, your plans change, things come up, life changes. You know, I've had expectations, and I can't have expectations on anything, because it could change any moment, and then I'm let down, or, you know.
And that could push you back to
Yeah,
using again?
Yeah.
Do you think he's using?
Yes.
Heroin, pills?
Heroin. Yes.
I haven't seen any drugs. I just can tell by the way he acts.
Robert maintains he does not need a treatment program to stay clean.
I don't like feeling trapped. I'm starting to learn. You know, even you know, when I had like a girlfriend and stuff, I was always trapped and being like, I feel like I'm confined, and when I'm confined, I feel like I want to just like, I just want to like break out and do like mischievous things.
I believe that it's out of his control right now. And heroin is a monster. It's creating a monster. I love my son more than anything in this world. I just believe that he's been taken over by something. You know, I honestly believe that he's been taken, you know, and I know that there are people out there who are saying, like, you're crazy. You know, he's making a choice. This isn't a choice. Who would choose this? Who would choose this? I don't think there's anybody that would choose us. I mean, we are going right back into the cycle. He's going to be homeless again soon, and it's cold.
I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot better than I ever have. You know, first getting out was real, you know, it was real motivational and, you know, good. And then life happens, and you kind of, you know, I was on like a pink cloud getting out of jail, and then life starts happening, situations, and it gets harder. Each day gets harder, and then some days then it gets easier.
I just wish that this wasn't the life that he was living. And starting 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, I just wish like, he didn't make that one wrong decision. I just hope he doesn't think this is his only option.
But we can't fix it. Wish the story had a happier ending, but
Unlike Robert, Molly took the path of treatment and is now living her life in recovery. What is life like now?
Life is good. Like, life is life on life terms, but I work full time. I get the kids pretty much whenever I want, but I take them, I work Monday through Friday, so I take them on the weekend. I feel extremely grateful, like extremely proud of myself, that I've came so far and overcame like all the things I've overcame. And to see them smile like they smile is like genuinely smiling. These smiles, like, you cannot get any better than that. It's just like an amazing feeling to like have them back in my life.
It's really hard to see when you're living in it. And when you step out of it, then you see how your life is
I can pay my rent and I can put gas in my car and I can do things now, you know? Like I can buy my son video games and my daughter stuff off a Wish that she loves. I want to do better in my life. Like, yeah, I'm 30 years old, but like my life is just beginning now, you know?
Molly is still sober, working and taking care of her children. As for Robert, it's been several months since we've seen him. He continues to refuse treatment, and his family believes he's still using drugs. Since getting out of jail, he lost 2 jobs and was arrested for shoplifting. His family fears the cycle will continue, and he will end up back behind bars or dead. If you or someone you know needs help with an addiction, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. I'm Georgia Roman. Thank you for watching.